Paul Janeway, welcome to Australian Musician.
No, thank you for having me.
Your band, St. Paul and the Broken Bones, has a brand new album out with 10 great songs, your sixth album. Why is it self-titled?
Well, I think for us, it kind of felt like we had, I mean, who knew this was going to be a career, right? But we had the opportunity to make 5 records, and we kind of felt like we had kind of, for the most part, explored all the musical ground that we wanted to creatively. And so the sixth record really felt like, okay, we've done that. It's that's been great. That's been very fulfilling artistically, but it felt kind of almost boring in a weird way. To have this like, oh, we can go make whatever we want. It's like, okay, cool. But with this record, we kind of felt like we were kind of done with that kind of ideology with the band. And so it was kind of okay, well, what are we good at? And what like I got fascinated with like really great songwriting and kind of that classic songwriting, not so much more modern pop, but more 60s and 70s kind of pop style and and it just felt like a renewal. It felt like the band had reset. I think a lot of bands in our situation would have probably gone on hiatus or whatever, but we're working musicians. So creatively we did. We didn't record a record for 4 years, though we released them, staggered them, and um, so this record really felt like kind of a reset, a renewal, and it felt like that felt appropriate to self-title the record, and that's why we went that route.
Yeah, and recording at famed studios at Muscle Shoals, does that give you a little bit of energy? Do you feel the history?
I mean, definitely know the history. It is a very special place, and kudos to them for doing a lot of work to make it. Because there was a time where, not that it was ever bad, but it just wasn't up to modern standards, right? And so kudos to them for like pushing it to be a great studio, and you really do kind of hope some of the ghosts come out and infiltrate the machine, and maybe you capture a little bit of that magic. And I mean, who knows, right? But yeah, it is a very special place. I always say what's really funny is, because that place is so historic, they do tours in the middle of the day, and so when you record there at about 2 p.m., you got to halt and let them do the tour. And so, so which wasn't too long, but it was just a funny kind of break you knew you were going to have it in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
But it's pretty amazing.
So you don't become an exhibit uh, of the studio?
Yeah, you kind of feel like you do, but you know you basically what you do is you kind of like go into the control room and hide, or and so people don't know that you're there. But it was a fun experience.
Yeah. So when you're in the studio working on a song, how do you guys know when a song is done and to leave it alone?
When you get tired of it, I mean, ultimately, like, I don't know if you ever feel like it's totally done necessarily. I think when you're just like, all right, I've had enough of that. I don't have anything else to add. I don't want to hear it anymore. That's typically the end. You know what I mean? Where you're like, okay, and then what I like to do is revisit it a couple of months later and then go, oh, well, that is really great or not good or whatever. But I think that's really kind of how you feel like it's done. I mean, sometimes there are songs you just write and you're like, everything about this is right. But that's not always the case. That's pretty rare.
Yeah. Was there a particular track on the album that was a little bit harder, that you worked on longer than others?
Um, I'll tell you a song that I didn't think was going to be on the record is a song called "Sitting in a Corner." I just absolutely thought that song was not going to be on the record, because the band had written that, I think like 6 months prior. And while we liked the melody and stuff, we were just kind of, man, this doesn't feel right. And so when we got in the studio and Egg White, who produced the record, got involved, he did a few things arrangement wise that just changed it completely. And we're like, this song has to be on the record. But you sometimes you're just like, hey, this isn't going to make it, but let's go ahead and give it a shot. And then when that happens, that's a really special, fun thing because there's elements of the song you like, but that one, especially, I was like, that one's not going to make it. That one's just it's not there. And then yeah, and then there was a couple that we didn't finish. So
Yeah. How do you approach your vocal takes in the studio? Do you have a ritual for warming up, and how many takes do you generally do?
um, it varies. Some songs are easier to sing than others, right? Like there's little parts. Usually about 3 takes, and you can sum it up. It depends on the moment, What a lot of folks I've worked with like, I mean, the great thing is the one thing I love about singing in the studio is I can take a sip of tea in the middle of it, or you know what I mean? Like you can't really do that when you're doing a show. It's just it's harder, or it's harder to do.
Yeah.
And so my ritual is usually to be fairly quiet, drink my tea, keep my throat lubricated, and then I would say, I mean, very rarely am I going to do more than 5 takes. Sometimes you do one. Sometimes one's right, but to me it just varies.
Yeah. Which of these new songs are scrubbing up well in rehearsal?
uh, you know, honestly, the only songs that we haven't um really figured out or is a song. There's a song called "Seagulls," "Change of Life," and "Going Back." Those are the three right now. We're still kind of trying to figure out, but I would say we really made Sushi and Coca Cola a great moment in the show. I think we did a really kind of fun extension on that because the song was only like 2.5 minutes, so we were like, "That's too short. Like you gotta give a little bit more than that." And Sushi and Coca Cola, I think that one we extended that one really well, and then Fall Moon's another one that I think is just it's a killer live. So which is always a good feeling, and especially when because we played some of these before the record was out and the songs were out, and then like if it gets that kind of immediate reaction, you're like, okay, that's a good sign.
Yeah. With each new album, does it make it harder to come up with a set list?
Friend, we are dealing with that right now. I'm actually in Memphis right now playing a show. We're going to play a show tonight, and we are just sitting there because the record's out now, and this is the first show we've had with the record out, and we're sitting here going, "What the hell do we do?" Like it's just do we just it's hard. It's hard. We're trying to figure it out, and after I get done with this call, I'll go work on the set list and figure out exactly how it's all going to go down.
Yeah. If you could bottle the feeling of your best live show and sell it, what would you call it?
Oh man. I think sweat and tears. I think is probably is probably in the ballpark. It's yeah, that would be it. I mean, having doing live shows and having incredible moments sometimes is I always say that if you could bottle it up, I'd never leave the house, but that's just not how it works.
Yeah. If your younger self, the guy singing in church, could hear your new album, what do you think he'd say about it?
Probably not much because it wasn't to God. So, uh, like, what happened? What happened? He turned into a heathen. But that's probably part of it. And then I think the other thing is, I mean, God knows, I wish, because I didn't listen to like secular music really when I was a kid. I mean, I listened to like some soul stuff. Um, I would probably be surprised I was capable of doing something like that or being a part of something like that. Though.
Yeah. Do you believe that great soul music requires heartbreak, or can joy be just as powerful a muse?
Mm, I believe, I believe that you have to have some hurt in your voice, and there's only one way to get that. I just think that's the difference. Like there's sweet, gentle singers, and people, and not that they don't, but I think especially with kind of soul music, there has to be some hurt in the vocals. However that happens, whether that's synthetic or not.
Yeah. Last time I spoke to you was on the phone in 2018. You were telling me,
Wow.
yeah, uh, you're on your way to Blues Fest, maybe for the first time, maybe the
uh, Second time, I think.
second time, yeah. And you tell me how much of a fan you were of D'Angelo when you got to see him perform at Blues Fest.
That sure did.
The news must have hit you pretty hard this week.
Well, that was hard. You don't you have such a reverent respect for them as a musician and an artist, and you don't know them, but it when you lose tentpole artists like that, you kind of I get sad. Yeah, it is heartbreaking because mainly you think about his family and those close to him and those things, but then the secondary thing is like the output of music and the artistry. And I mean, I will never. I am so grateful for Blues Fest because I did get this. It'd be really hard for me to get to see him, and I got to see him, and I just remember one of the few times, probably since this has all happened, that I was like, I don't want to watch this side stage. I don't want to watch this. I got in the crowd and I watched the show because I was just like, I want to experience it that way. And it was incredible, incredible show. But yeah, it is super sad because that's too young, just too young. And Obviously, just a massive influence on so many people. But I mean, Voodoo to me is one of the greatest records of all time. I mean, and I don't think that's hyperbole. Like that really is one of the greatest records out there. And so luckily we have those kind of relics and those kinds of things to have those kind of people still around. And that's a beautiful thing about leaving a legacy like that, is that you do get to still experience it. And I mean, that's transcendent music, so that's going to be around forever. Until this earth is blown up in a comet, like it's going to be around forever.
Yeah. Another thing we spoke about in 2018, you just released Young Sick Camellia, and we were talking about the influence of Caravaggio. Um, last year, I was watching the show Ripley on Netflix. Did you see that?
I didn't. No.
Okay, you must see it because there are parallels with Caravaggio with the character, and they use Caravaggio imagery.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. I need to watch that.
Yeah, and it's a real piece of art, so you should watch it.
I actually, I'm big about going to see all of his paintings, and my wife and I, for our 10-year anniversary, went to Malta to go see the beheading of St. John, which is in Malta. As a car, and it was just it was magical. You know what I mean? Like that was a magical. That was one of the reasons why we went. So he's still at least leading my vacations. but yeah, I have to rip. You said Ripley?
Ripley, yeah,
I have to look that up.
it's shot in black and white, and yeah, it's fabulous.
I'm totally into that.
Yeah. Um, I know some of your music has been used in movies. 50 Shades of Grey is the most notable, I suppose. Does film interest you? Are you interested in acting or maybe even creating an entire soundtrack?
Um, I don't know if they're gonna put me on the screen to act, but I love I love the idea of a soundtrack. Like I know people who do it, and it's incredibly hard, incredibly hard. Um, I would love an attempt at some point, though, to do something of that. I mean, I love movies. I love my wife's minor was in film, and so we have the Criterion Collection, and we watch. One of our favorite things to do is to go watch kind of more indie films at a movie theater, And like I love doing that. Maybe watching something you're not as familiar with. It's a little left of center. Um, but yeah, I would love a crack at a soundtrack for sure. I really would. But I don't know if anybody's gonna hire me to act. I don't know if that's in my future.
Do you have any other bucket list projects in the back of your mind, things you want to get to?
No, this is it. If this fails, I'm pretty much done. I, I do, I mean, at this point, it's like this, and I do have a 5-year-old now, so which is, something that's changed since 2018, and so being a good dad and a good husband and a good bandmate is about my cuppeth runneth over. But I suppose if the band thing went away, I would have to find something else.
Yeah. So when might we see you back in Australia playing this new material?
As soon as y'all have us, that's the biggest thing, man. As soon as y'all have us, I really, we've had some amazing shows there at Blues Fest. Like, um, it's back though, right? Like, wasn't it gonna go away, and then it's back?
I think that was a bit of a ruse.
I read some sort of article like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it's there because that is I can't tell people like that is a really special festival. Like that is one of my favorite. Like it is a long flight. I mean, it is a long flight. But once you're there, once you get to experience it, man, I do. I love it. It is one of the very few festivals in the world that we've played. Like I got to see D'Angelo, and like you get to see. I saw Roy Ayers. Like you get to see. It is the closest festival, probably more curated to my taste and what I dig than a lot of other festivals.
Yeah. So getting back to the album, what do you hope people get out of listening to it?
Huh. Um, I hope that they go through the array of emotions. Like, you know what I mean? You hope that they. I always say this. I really hope it's really beautiful when a record or a song gets to be in the background of a special moment for you, or maybe helps you get through something or whatever it is. Like that to me is really beautiful, and that's really what I hope. I really hope if it's lucky enough, that's where it gets to live, right? And people get to have cool moments with it, and that's. But yeah, I mean, I think there's moments of tears. I think there's smiling and laughing, and there's all those kind of array of emotions, which I think is a beautiful thing. You hope people get that out of the record.
Yeah. Well, Paul, it's just been great to chat with you again, and we hope to see you down here very soon.
Listen, as I said, I love it down there. I hope we get to too.
All right, mate. Thanks for your time.
All right, thank you. All right, bye.
Bye bye.